Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Without cloud, you could say yes, fine, it's a local infrastructure, that's it. But without an application, you can't say it's just an infrastructure. What if I just have a laptop and it does not have any software in it, it does not have a firmware in it? What is it? Table weight, paper weight, correct? Or maybe I can use it as a cricket board and then start playing like this, right? That's it. The third one is where we talk about GRC. What is GRC? G for governance, R for risk, and C for compliance. You understood what is NIST, what is ISO 27001, what is ISO 21434 and all these standards? Yeah? PCI DSS, HIPAA, HIPAA, all of those things are standards. Right? Act. HIPAA is an act. Right? ISO is a standard. So it's what we say as compliance, like rules or regulations that you need to follow in order to elevate yourself into a qualitative mechanism. Right? Don't confuse between act and compliance standards. HIPAA is also compliance, right? But it's an act, it's a rule, it's a law in the land of United States of America, right? But ISO is a standard by International Standard Organization, right? There are many various other things that exist. 27K is commonly used for information security management systems. Clear? ISMS is otherwise called as 27001, 27002, 27003, 27017. So there are various other standards that exist for definition. Standards are voluntary. Act is mandatory. Find the difference. You want to improve your organization's quality, you can take up ISO standards, right? But if you are in the industry of payment gateway, okay, and you wanted to incorporate the payment gateway with 5 companies, any of the 5 companies like Visa, Master, Discover, Amex and JPY, you are forced to take up PCI DSS. That's again a standard. But if you are in operating, accessing US patient data, US like any hospitals or any healthcares or anywhere in US, somebody is going to the doctor and you are accessing that particular data, then you are forced to follow HIPAA as an act. So that's a difference. So GRC speaks about these things. First comes in R, risk. Identify the risk of your business, check your compliance, double check your compliance, and then define it as governance where it comes out as policies and procedures. What time were you all asked to come in the morning? 9:30 a.m., 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock. 9 a.m., 8 a.m. So you're all here at 8 a.m. in the morning, correct? What's that? That's a rule. That's a policy that's being defined. That's governance. But how did they do that? Why didn't they ask you to come at 2 p.m. in the afternoon? Why not? Why not at 2 p.m.? Because you will not have enough time. The risk of completing the sessions, if we start at 2, it's not going to happen. So we start at 8 in the morning, right? So everywhere risk is being categorized. Sometimes it's hazardous, sometimes it is various other factors incorporated into it, and then definition of that is concluded in your governance report, right? Compliance comes in to regulate it. What we call them as best practices. You want it, you follow it. If you don't want it, you don't need to follow it. And that's GRC for you, okay? It's a separate pillar of its own. It does not require hands-on technical skills, but if you have hands-on technical skills, it will help you to elevate yourself better. All right, right. The last one we generally call it as monitoring. All right. So this monitoring is continuous monitoring, or depending upon timely monitoring. This is going to help you regulate your work. Okay. In fact, we define it as monitoring, but it's not core as such. Forensics, aftermath, incidents, looking out and incident management, all of these things pretty much comes into this. So we say this is continuous improvement. So they said continuous improvement as the area. How many of you something called as SOC exists? SOC. SOC. Security Operations Center. Right? SOC also has a compliance standard, but for freshers to get in, SOC is easier to get in, it is monitoring. You get into monitoring, continue to see a screen like this all day. Get to learn first 3-6 months, it will be really interesting, but after that it will become really bored if you are not understanding how it's happening. Right? That's exactly where people get struggling today. There are thousands of SOC analysts are without job. Cybersecurity, I need people to join my company and many other companies like mine, but we are not finding the right resources. That's reality. So much of reality is there. You know why? Because people have become dumb. Yeah, that's absolute reality today. People have become dumb. People don't understand what's happening in the real world, and we are far away from where it is, and that has to stop. Which means you got to evolve. It's not like you continue to change your job every 6 months. You can evolve in the same team, elevate yourself. Alright? And this is what today's challenge. You want to be amazing, prove yourself you're amazing by learning something and incorporating something new. If the organization is not giving you the opportunity, then think of moving. Right? See, say about 5 years ago, there were 2 reasons to move from an organization. Whether 5 is like 2018 and before, 2017 times. Okay, pre-COVID is one. COVID, even 2 years before COVID is also different. People switch jobs because, hey, manager is not good, is not giving me life, or the organization is having a cruel thought process. So reasons were only 2. The organization is good, but I don't have a good manager, or I'm not able to change my manager, or I'm not able to move to another team. Henceforth, I'm moving jobs. But today, I don't care about organization, I don't care about manager, I only care about my own. 6 months I've learned something, next 6 months I want to learn something else. That's a problem today, right? And after 5 years, you learn 10 technologies, you'll be a master of all or jack of none. You understand, right? So you have your resume packed up over a period of time, and you tend to show that I have learned about 10 different technologies inside cybersecurity. Can you tell me what happened when a problem like this comes? One critical question will put you down forever, and you'll be out of job after 4 or 5 years time. There are at least 5 to 6,000 profiles that are roaming in Naukri today. Naukris and Monsters and all the job portals. They're already in a very high salary. People are not interested to hire them, and those guys have been asked to leave. And this is happening today, and I don't want any of you to fall under that category. Right? So sometimes it will be a struggle, sometimes it will be enjoying. If you have seen the fruit of enjoyment, then it will be very difficult for you to go back and see the fruit of the toughness. So just be cautious about it. So if you want to find your career in cybersecurity, these are the domains that you need to probably start concentrating on. Alright? Now my question to you is, how many of you are coders here? Raise your hands. I like coding, I love coding. Okay, nobody else, right? Okay, so let's put no to application security. Simple, that's how you need to diversify yourself. Okay, I'm not a coder, I don't like coding, alright? A lot of people said, if you don't know coding, you're not a computer science engineer, isn't it? You're not an IT guy, isn't it? Right? That's not the truth. You know what? It's less than 9% is what coding is, application security is today. You know why? Less than 9%. Why? What is ChatGPT doing? Right? ChatGPT was hacked. How many of you are aware of that? Yeah, already 100,000 ChatGPT user accounts are available for sale in the dark web. How old is ChatGPT? 1 year? Not even, right? Or not even 1 year. ChatGPT is already hacked. 100,000 user accounts, users who signed up with ChatGPT, the data is out. I'll tell you what, I've never used ChatGPT so far. I'm not logged into ChatGPT at all. You know, it's going to put you lazy. My sales team came back to me and said, hey Harish, see, fabulous email I've drafted from ChatGPT. I just said, I want to write a sales email to a customer as an entry point for cybersecurity space. They gave me the statistics. Beautiful, man. Get to use it. No worries. See how many you get a response. They did not get not even one response. You know what? And you know why? Any thoughts? All the sales guys did that and everybody got the same answer and everybody's emails was flooded with the same email. Logic, right? See, take it, improvise it. You know, there is a concept called plagiarism. Everybody knows what is it? You copy something exactly from the book, that's called as plagiarism. Okay, you call them plagiarism, it's different, it's been spoken differently across India. Technology is spoken in Bihar as technology, alright? It's been spoken as different. So the word is, pronunciation is much different, but it's called plagiarism in general, okay? And when you say plagiarism as such, copying, but opposite to plagiarism is paraphrasing, alright? Which means you read it, you understand it, you write it in your own language for your understanding. See, the idea is to make you understand it, not just copy it from there. But what ChatGPT does today is interesting. It's mind-blowing, no questions, no doubts. Alright, I saw when ChatGPT came in, I saw in my LinkedIn post, it says day 4, 1 million users, 100,000 users. It also gave some statistics. Facebook reached 100,000 users in so many days, this took 100,000 users in so many weeks, this took only 4 days to reach 100,000 users. And 100,000 user accounts are already available in the dark web for all of you to buy. So go buy usernames and passwords, enjoy it. Right? So application security is less than 9%. Okay, now next. How many of you are interested in document writing? Hey, I'm good at document writing. I understand policy, I understand somebody says and I wanted to propose something very unique, different. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. One of the options that you could choose would be your GRC domain. Okay. A lot of people say GRC is not for freshers, but no, it's actually for freshers. In fact, in a very precise manner, because freshers' thought processes have always been very young, very niche, very fresh. And if you could analyze risk, for analyzing risk, you also need to have knowledge about that particular field. So what you have been asked to do, go research about the field. So your research mind is fresh, you'll be able to research much faster. So you attain risk, you understand the risk of a domain for which you need to do a lot of research. So I would say risk research, right? So if you think your knowledge is good in transferring things, then that's exactly what you should start thinking about it. Risk as a domain. How to ascertain risk? We all are good in ascertaining risk. You know what? Women are the best in ascertaining risk, not men. Right? There's an opening available for all of you waiting. Start thinking about it. That's one. Okay. Now, risk is one. Now, compliance. Somebody has written some documentation, standards, and stuff like that. Okay. You see ISO standards, NIST standards. What does NIST stands for? National Institute of Standards and Technology. Come on. Okay. So NIST's standards, like 800 is the number. Remember in life. That's for risk. Okay. So go read about that. You get to define your own risk statement. And you want to follow ISO standards, you want to follow PCI, you want to follow SOC, all other standards for that matter. All of these things are paged documents written neatly for people to understand it. 10 page, 15 page documents. How long is it really going to take for people from India, especially women from India who are amazing in mugging something, for you to reciprocate the same thing again? Much faster, isn't it? For me, it takes 6 months because I'm very bad in mugging. For my wife, it takes 3 days. She's amazing in mugging. Truth, that's exactly what it is. Women are always much better in remembering things better than men. Right? When I was leaving home, my wife was not there. What the hell is the combination? She would have actually asked this question to me. Right? So better, colors, remembrance, right? So when somebody has got better in it, I think you should be able to use them better. And for this domain, it is pretty well. Governance is not our cup of tea because top management will do the design. You propose, you do your job, do justice, your outcome is fantastic. So out of, just leave the G, the R and C, and over a period of time, out of next 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, you will become the boss and you will be able to dictate on governance. So that's also your cup of tea over a period of time. But for that, you need to start today. Understand it, right? That's GRC. Now I'll come to the critical part of things where you have network security. Networks, anybody interested in networks, infrastructure, love networks, willing to keep your hands dirty, right? Yeah, by touching those wires and doing the crimpings. Interested? Yeah, but you don't need to do any more of those. You have a console in front of you, you got to do the configuration. You don't need to keep your hands dirty by crimping and wiring and stuff like that. You have people to do that job. But we need intelligent people who can do the configuration better, and that is a huge requirement today. You know, CM Marls, Chennai Metro Rail, right, Limited, or we talk about any of that, talk about Bangalore, we talk about any of the city where metro rail is being developed, created, there is shortage of network engineers. And they are elevating people from lowest level to that level, giving them training, making sure that they all work up to it. There is a huge demand that is going to be arising because IT-OT convergence is going to take place. Just to let you know that the rail network that we all have, signal and systems are separate. The booking systems are separate. Alright? Once the IT-OT convergence is going to happen, it is expected to merge somewhere. I don't know when it is going to merge, how it is going to merge. But when the time it is going to merge, the number of requirements is going to go 10x. Requirement of people in that domain is going to go 10x, and the jobs and the requirements and the salaries will also go pretty high. Because when there is a demand, everything goes high, right? So we used to buy onions for about 120 kilos, correct? It happened in India. So networks, and that's the base today. That's the requirement today. That's the base today, because a networking cannot be done by ChatGPT. All right. Reason: best practices keeps changing. Okay. There's a tech word called as ZTNA. Have you ever heard of that? Have you ever heard of that before? ZTNA. Okay, I'll get a question. Your relatives are knocking your door. What do you do? If you're inside the door, open the door, keep it shut. Good question. Your friends are knocking the door. What do you do? Open the door, right? Okay. Your friend, according to me, or my friend, according to me, is not trustworthy. Can you say that? But that is ZTNA. Zero trust network access. I don't trust anybody. If it's not an institution, I would have used a better word, but yes, now it's I will never trust anybody. Okay, this is the new era that we are all in. Alright, and any network that is going to come in, anybody who's going to come in who's already known to me, I'm not going to trust them. I'm going to frisk them and see what they are having, and I'm going to allow them in. Ever gone to a pub? No? Ever gone to a place where they ask you for your ID? Whether you are 18, 18 plus, 16, 16 plus. Even in theaters they ask, man, come on. I don't know which city in that. Yeah? There are a few movies they ask, hey, are you 18? Can you show me, are you 16? Right? It does happen. They allow people who are under 5, but they don't allow anybody over 5. I don't know what's the logic behind it, but that's exactly what's happening in theaters today. But they'll do that, right? But they only check for that. But you know, theaters, in certain theaters, they actually frisk you, saying, hey, what are you having in your pockets? They don't want you to carry any alcohol. They don't want you to even carry any food because it may be allergic to somebody. The smell may be allergic to somebody because it's a closed room. Right? Likewise, I don't trust anyone. That's what ZTNA says. Zero trust network access says, it could be my mother, it could be my parents, my in-laws, my aunt, my uncle, my friend. I don't care. I'm not going to trust anyone. I'm just not going to allow them without frisking. And that's zero trust network access. And this is today's talk. Your ChatGPT cannot do this. As far as my knowledge is concerned, I'll also put the disclaimer very clearly because I'm not a ChatGPT user, but I've been reading about ChatGPT. So it is not possible for us in relying on technology. Otherwise, on the other side, we got to know what is inbound and what is outbound traffic. who is coming in and who is going out. So this is a place where you could concentrate on, and there is a technological world called SASE. You know, sorry, but this is SASE. Okay? Secure Access Service Edge. SASE, it's on the cloud, and ZTNA applies to cloud. So we're all talking about cloud, we're all accessing cloud, right? And these technologies are your requirement. You need to go search about these technologies, understand what these are. Don't go to, try and do a presentation where there are 4 types of cloud exist kind of things, right? Go do, understand, connect ZTNAs, SASEs. This is exactly what your interviewer wants to hear from you. Get it? Clear? Questions? Yeah. You need to find out applications if you are not doing a research. There are 2 ways to look into it. When I was looking at cybersecurity, it was already an emerging field. Okay, that was easier for me to get into it with my research knowledge. But when I was looking into underwater wireless communication, it was not an application oriented field, it was an emerging field, right? When I started, Titanic search was not available. Like, Titanic was a movie that was shot in 1993, 94, okay, but how many of you are born during the time? Right? So, it's different. If you want to look into research, absolutely yes. No questions, it's growing pretty well. But from an application standpoint, I'm not too knowledgeable on that, maybe to answer on that question, right? So, it's not connected to cyber yet in terms of regulated application orientation, right, or operational orientation. Either it should be application or it should be operation, not in that line. Maybe not right person to answer that, but in research, yes, it is going pretty well. It's like quantum computing, right? We've been talking about quantum for a very long time, right? Ant-Man talks about quantum, correct? Yeah, they say they live in quantum, correct? But the fastest quantum computing is not even 3 minutes old. It cannot even run for more than 3 minutes. And if it runs for 4 minutes, all the brute force attacks can be hacked. All the algorithms that operates with ransomware can be hacked, can be rehacked, maybe I would say it that way, right? But for running a quantum computing for 3 minutes, it's a task that we all have to maybe put our efforts into it. Maybe I don't know how many years it's going to take, or how many months, or how many weeks. I have no clarity on that. But the data that we have is only 3 minutes of quantum computing can run by IBM today, the most powerful ones. When you're talking about supercomputer, we're talking about quantum computer. Clear? So, if you understand ZTNA, if you understand SASE kind of things, then your knowledge on cloud is going to be much effective. Okay. So, I'll go back to the same slides. Okay. So now the last thing that we have on the cards is going to be monitoring, right? So the command and control center, which I said in IT environment, it's called as SOC, Security Operations Center. Okay. So when you say SOC, monitoring, like operation, what is happening in security domain, we get to see, we get to operate. Okay. Imagine ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access, based devices are incorporated into a network architecture for enablement, for lookout, right? Do you still think hack can happen? I have one of the sophisticated technology available, I've got the right person, ZTNA, enabled in the cloud, beautiful. I have multi-layer architecture and everything there. Is it still hackable? How many of you say, I don't know? Okay. Okay, how many of you say, yes, it is hackable? Okay, how many of you say, no, it's not hackable? Okay, so I've got only, I don't know, and I got said yes. The answer is actually yes. 0 day, remember? What is 0 day? Time of what? Release. Hmm. Exactly. So if I am identifying a vulnerability, remember, okay, at about 1 a.m. today, and I'm not able to find a patch by 1 a.m. tomorrow, that day is called as 0 day. It's a 24-hour span. You ask like 1 a.m. of EST versus 1 a.m. of PST, this isn't happen the way it is. Whatever the time zone that you identify within the next 24 hours, you don't identify, it's a 0 day. Okay. So if you have a 0 day, nothing can block it, right? But what happens in the security operations center is, you could preemptively take action. You can proactively have patterns. You know how hacks happen by any way? You've all heard of like hacking. I've seen a lot of hacks. Hacks do takes place. This is hacked, that is hacked. ChatGPT has got 100,000 user hacked, correct? But how is it really happening? Nobody explains it, correct? Why? Why nobody explains how it is happening? Because nobody get to touch there. That's a problem today, right? So I'll tell you how the real hacks happen. Okay. So you have a system. The system is got, it's a hardware or it's a cloud environment. It has got an application which is making the system communicatable, like the interface, right? We call them the interface. And the software is operating on top of it. You don't know what's the hardware behind it. We also don't need to know about it unless or until you have it on your own device. It's a phone or something like that. It's your own device. You don't need to know about it. Most of the hacks do happen from application and go into the networks. That's exactly how systems operate. But when you try and understand the layer behind it, we call them front-ending layer, we call them a middleware, then it communicates to the hardware. All these layers, you need to probably go back to a computer architecture book by Morris Manon and start looking into it, you'll understand the better things. But here, the originality is, I have made a mistake on the code, okay, probability 1. I have returned the code wrong coding, okay. I have configured the code wrong, though coding was good, but I have configured the code wrong. I have never updated the code. Right? So there are various aspects that a hack could happen. So how this is now happening? Now I am trying to like do a search, we call them scan. When we do a scan, we get to see, okay, this particular application is running on depleted operating system, say Windows 7 or Windows 8, Windows 8.1. You know, the support to all of these operating systems are all stopped today. The operating system support is only for Windows 10 and Windows 11 from Windows angle. Alright, so let's talk about Windows because it's the most prominent one, a lot of people use it, common ones, okay. And it's also interesting to always be because they're always the scapegoat. And they end up making more money because they become the scapegoat. That's also another side of the story. So this system, which is running on Windows 7, did not have any update, but systems that are built on top of it has got more security measures, but this continues to be here. So imagine that you have a house door. Okay, that's like 35-year-old house and then you got a door in it. How fast should I have to actually bang in for the door to break? Not fast enough, correct? One kick, it's going to be just gone. But if it's the same new door, a one kick would be enough. And do a few more kicks, it's going to make a lot of noise, correct? But old doors, because of its utilization, right? It is supposed to be updated, it is supposed to be repaired. It's not happened. Right, and I found a mechanism issue, and that mechanism is right now being touched for me to break into the system. And this is exactly what is happening in every system. And I find out the right code. Everybody knows SQL injection? Yeah? SQL injection happens where? In the database or in the code? Really? No. You get to expose the database by SQL injection as a vulnerability. It's an injection, it happens in the front-end code, not in the database. You all know how to write a SQL injection code, I know that. But how? This is exactly where the question that you will be asked. SQL injection as a vulnerability is not a database vulnerability. It is a vulnerability that is the end result is going to show you the database, right? Because you write SQL queries, right? What if I'm not using an SQL? There's a technology called NoSQL, yes or no? What if I'm not using NoSQL? Will I still be able to get into the database by using SQL injection? It's a logical question. Yeah. Go back home in the evening, do your research, you find your answer for yourself. I'll leave it open for you. Correct? We are all moving towards NoSQL, no query here. Come on, I wanted to get rid of this database forever. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know, but we are all going towards that. We said no code, low code. What does that mean? What is no code and what is low code? LOW, low. Drag and drop, the code is automatically built by AI engine. We used to write codes for a palindrome to be written. How many long lines of coding we used to write, right? Some 15-20 lines of code. A spyware can be written in about 4 lines of code today. Possible. So no code, low code technologies are all coming in. I don't know what is that no code, I don't know what is low code. But I know these technologies exist and it's going to ease our job. Right? Whether I know or don't know, it's a different thing. But right now I'm saying I don't need to know about it because there are good enough people, good enough architects who are there in the world to do the job. Correct? So whatever that's required for you, you get to concentrate on that. You get to know these stuff and that's going to help you fetch a job. But remember, SQL injection is a code level vulnerability, not a database level vulnerability. You expose the code, you query the code, the query is going to be responded by the code, you get to view the SQL database. What is LDAP? Have you heard of this? LDAP. That's another problem. You all know Active Directory? Yeah, heard of Active Directory? Like in organizations, systems are all connected and one, you log in from the system, it goes to the system and then authenticated for you are to be used, right? It's like one single server that controls all the users. And in an organization, when they need to update, they don't go to every computer and update. They push the update from the central server and goes to all the systems. It has to be connected by some mechanism called as a directory. Okay, and you use it every time you enter username, it has to be validated by the server. So it gives you much more rules. It gives you much more extra leverage on controlling the security mechanism better, right? Active Directory. That's one thing you may have to start looking into it. So these active directories or these connections are going to make a difference in your access levels and going to give you the right permissions for you to access all along. So this LDAP as a protocol, okay, will help you. There's got a port number as 389 and then you go to access that protocol. It is going to help it's called as lightweight directory access protocol. It's going to help you connect to an individual server for access to be enabled. And that's exactly how the systems work. So these terminologies are the requirement for you to get you clear an interview. And you need to explain them, okay, this is what it is. So you need to start from end to end, right? So what is first and what is last? You know, what is an order that those systems are to be placed? Any idea about anybody? Will a security be sitting in the center of the hall, living room or on the gate? Got it? Correct? Will a toilet be at the center of the house or the corner of the house? Will a television be installed at the center of the hall or at the corner of the hall? Corner of the hall. Couch be on the center of the hall or the corner of the hall? Get it? Correct? Will the fan be at the corner of the room or in the center of the room? You got it? This is exactly what we call them as placement. And that placement in cybersecurity is very, very, very important. If you don't understand placement, you don't get placement. You get it? Right? So, all of you clear about these 4 things? Monitoring? Yeah, go ahead. Placement is placement only. Correct. I will show you now. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So, what is to be placed where? Right? So, let's talk about certain things. So let's talk about firewall. Where is this? Have you ever seen a firewall before? No? No? Have everybody seen a modem before? Modem, router at home, Wi-Fi router, Wi-Fi modem? Yes? Imagine two sides of a, just keep one more modem on top of it, the thickness, that's exactly what a firewall is. A small size firewall. Okay? And then it goes up to this big. Have you seen a switch? Yeah? Exactly like that. Maybe little bulgier, but same type. So that's a firewall. Okay? What is this? DMZ. Demilitarized zone. Heard of this? No. Are we all living in a militarized zone or in a demilitarized zone? Are we all living in a demilitarized zone or in a militarized zone? Don't say teachers are militaries, okay? We are all living in a demilitarized zone. Okay? You can do whatever you want, right? You can have a loud music, you can have a dance party. Yes or no? In a militarized zone, you can't do any of these things. You'll have to keep your shut up and then eat and do your job. You get the difference now between militarized and demilitarized zone? Yeah. Okay. So, in a network, in an environment, demilitarized zone plays a very, very, very important role. Okay? Right. Heard of this term called sandbox? S-A-N-D, sandbox. What is sandbox? Huh? Artificial? These are too intelligent here, come on. I'm not that intelligent, I got to stick to basics. Not a wrong answer, but not a right answer too. It's a good try. It's an environment where you can practice. You written a code, you wanted the code to be tested, you can test it inside a sandbox, nothing will happen. Protected. It's a properly protected area, you can do anything you want. If you just go about 70 kilometers from here, there's a place called Avadi in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, okay? There they manufacture the tanks. You drive on the road, you actually sometimes hear dumb kind of noise, you know, they actually practice. Not joking, they actually practice firing those tanks. And that area you can't get in, that's a militarized zone. And that, the way where they practice the tank testing, that's called as a sandbox environment. Okay, you can test anything you want, nothing will happen there, right? Honeypot. Exactly. So you create a duplicate system for the hacker to think that this is the real system with vulnerabilities and fake documents, fake files. When the hacker comes in, hacker thinks this is a real file, you end up monitoring everything using monitoring tools and create a defensive mechanism for that particular hack incorporated in internal systems. That is a honeypot, right? People catch, there are a lot of videos available for catching mice, right? Mice. How does it happen? They make sure that there is a cheese, there is a coconut or something like that kept. When the moment when they touch, the mouse touches the coconut, it just opens up and goes into the trap. Honeypot is a trap. Alright? Okay. Heard of this? L3, L2, L1 switches. L3 switch is your router. It can act as a switch, it can act as a router. I'll give you simple examples for you to remember L1, L2 and L3. Okay, there's a switch there, correct? Can you all see the switch? Imagine that's a fan switch. Is there any regulator right there? No. I'm going to power it on, the fan is going to just be on. I'm going to power it off, going to stop. That's an L1 switch. You provide input, you get an output. That's it. You can't do any configuration. That's L1. L2, the same switch with a regulator. Right? I can reduce the speed, I can increase the speed, I can do anything I want. I can also have a two-way switch. Correct? I can do that. That's L2. L3 switches, I can use that switch for light now. Later on time, I can use the same switch for fan. Imagine that. A same switch, I can use it for light, I can use it for fan, I can also use it for AC. That's L3 switch. That's a difference. Okay. So a router, the home router that you all have for Wi-Fi is a router. It has got L1, L2 and L3 switches capability in it. It's a modem. It converts those data, right? And it also helps you, if you connect, there will be 3-4 ports, right? You connect your printer, you can access Wi-Fi printing. Have you ever tried that before? A normal printer can be converted into Wi-Fi printer. Yeah, you just connect the printer. If the printer has got network capability, you connect the printer into your router, scan it, find it. Every time you print it within the network, you don't need to be connected to internet. You don't need to be connected to the internet for the Wi-Fi printing to work. Even if internet is powered off, you connect to that router, you print it, your printer will still deliver it. Correct? So your router has got the capability. That is L3. It has got facilities, features incorporated, and we create something called as VLAN. What is VLAN? Virtual LAN. Right? We create virtual LANs by departments, by teams. Depending upon requirement, we create it. How many of you have siblings here? Most of you. Yeah? Do you have a secret code to talk to your siblings? Secret terms, secret words, secret something, you both have done something secret? That's only between you both, right? Or your cousins, somebody? Yeah? That's will never come out. Okay? Anything that happens within a virtual LAN, it's like that. Right? So it's a LAN that gets connected from one device to another, like one to multiply, one to many, it's also possible, but however you want to create. I just gave an example for siblings as an example, right? Or with friends, pretty fine. Everybody will have friends, secret things, sharing, always been like that, unless or until any one of you opens up. During the communication, it becomes pretty secure. So VLANs are pretty important. It goes by teams. Finance team goes by one VLAN. Administration teams goes by one VLAN. That's exactly how organizations are supposed to configure for segregation of signals. So these devices are very important for you to learn, and this is the order that it is also being placed. And then your individual laptops and desktops are called as host. Okay, so you do everything and all the data will go through these in order like this. You want to see a diagram like this? Ease of understanding. So imagine this is the cloud internet, okay, and I have a perimeter. I call this a perimeter. Alright, I have a firewall, this is a primary firewall, I have a secondary firewall, okay, and I am going to connect my DMZ here. Alright, I have my sandbox, I have my honeypot. Alright, these are all, why am I putting two arrows? Because they are all dual connection. Alright, so secondary firewall then goes into where? Into a switch, I'll say an L3 switch, it goes into multiple L2 switches, okay, and then it goes into say a server and host machines. Host machines are your multiple servers, multiple hosts, are your laptops and desktop. This is a simple network architecture that, there are a lot of other devices, load balancers and a lot of things that keep coming in. I just gave you what is required from your end. Being a fresher, if you can talk this, in fact the interviewer will not be asking any further questions at all. They will only say, hey, okay, I know you know something, let's talk about something else, right? So this is exactly the way that you people should propose if you wanted to get into networking or security or network security or into the security operations center. Now you get where to go, what to do. Yeah, everybody is clear? So any questions from here? There are only two ways. One is everything is inside your head, or everything is over your head. Which category are you all in? Easy, right? Nothing rocket science. It's all pretty simple common sense. And you just apply the common sense in the right place. Don't try to think of putting an indicator when you are sitting in a chair, right? When you're driving a car, riding a bike, make sure that when you're taking a right or left, don't think about something else apart from switching on your indicator. That's common sense, which is unfortunately have become very uncommon today. Yeah? For cybersecurity, common sense is the most important thing, that's the first thing. And then you get to learn everything that you want and then keep going forward. So whatever I have learned is absolutely by means of common sense, right? Whatever I read is different, but where am I going to apply that, right? So you need to create my own area for applying that. That's exactly how things will move forward. For you to get into a profile, you need to choose. So none of you are interested in programming here, fantastic, but programming, as I said, it's less than 9%, so you have about 91+% of job opportunities that are open for all of you, which is simply very interesting, correct? Try not to go into application security, you will get stuck somewhere, but application security is one of the highly paid jobs as well, simultaneously. So you start with an analyst, okay, in most of the organizations, then you become a senior analyst, then you become an engineer, you become a senior engineer. Okay, then you become certain companies, depending upon their profiling, you become associate or architect. Depending upon organization, it keeps varying. Like say about 15 years ago, there used to be a common hierarchy that's been followed all across, but today it's different. I follow some hierarchy, somebody follows something else as a hierarchy. So it's depending upon the organization where you want to move there. Somebody says after you become the senior engineer, you become a manager, you become a senior manager, become a project manager, senior project manager, then you become an architect, senior architect. There are always two domains. One is technical, one is business, right? A lot of people think after a point of time they want to move into business, alright? They have the capability of also moving into business because they talk a lot. A lot of people don't talk, they always want to only be in technical domain. They'll never come up in life, that's what people think. But one day is what is required for a technical guy to just come up and show us what it is. But remember the story of Apple. Is Steve Wozniak better than Steve Jobs or Steve Jobs better than Steve Wozniak? No. Steve Jobs did not even know what Steve Wozniak knows. Not even 10% of what Steve Wozniak is, Steve Jobs is not. That's what we all say, because he talks, because he markets. That's how it is. But you know what? Steve Wozniak being having a very peaceful and happy life, but Steve Jobs did not. So what do you want to be? You choose. You can also be both today. That's possible. A lot of technicians have become today entrepreneurs. Elon Musk is a technician, right? Physics is what he started with, and where he is today, right? Owner of Tesla, owner of Twitter, owner of this, owner of that, owner of Starlink. Just have to divert yourself. But if you want to think something like that, stick to your basics first. The moment you are sticking to your basics, your career is going to be much better than that. I'll tell you what, a lot of people keep talking about ChatGPT to me. Hey, this is doing this is doing that, it's been amazing. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Okay, is it realistically? But never ever. I've been sitting in my computer, I've got a home lab. My lab is about 5-screen lab. Okay? And the same laptop that I use here, go there, connect my connectors, it becomes a 5-screen lab. Not even once I've even gone into ChatGPT's page, not even once. You can check my history, never. You know why? Because there are a lot of things when I go switch on my laptop, I get a lot of mails, lot of research articles that is actually taking you to a different level for you to read and understand it. Instead of relying on something, right, understand this. You should be relying on yourself than relying on something. Got it? So if I wanted to showcase something, yes, that's fine. I could have come with a PPT today. I realized that, when Karthika ma'am called me and then she said, this is what it is and the audience are this, and probably think what you do. In fact, in general, I don't go with a PPT. Very rarely I go with unless or until it's an awareness program, I go with a PPT. Or it's an online program, I go with a PPT, because in online, it's very difficult to see only up to my burst. Right? That's always difficult. But then you start thinking, okay, what the hell this guy is wearing, man? Why he's not wearing this? Why he's not wearing that? It's everybody's thought process, right? But something will keep bringing you back. Right? The room is good, lights are good, the fan is good, the colors are good, or something is bad. This is very bad smell that's coming in. So you have a lot of thought process but in online it doesn't. But we also do a lot of online teaching. No other option, that's how life is. Right?